Hi, my name is Jersey Drost. I'm a cartoonist and teaching artist, and today I'm going to be watercoloring this drawing I did of a cute, brave Ewok facing down a couple of Stormtroopers. We're going to get started right now. Sorry, still no like cool logo rolling in or anything like that. Oh, I should say, I'm working on it though. I should say, you might notice there's this blue stuff on the drawing. If you haven't run into this before, what I did this time is I am playing with drawing gum or masking fluid in order to put a thin rubber coating over top of where I plan on painting the trees. Looks like I missed that spot. Uh-oh. Yeah, I did. Well, we'll see how that's going to go. Anyway, so I can do washes of the background forest over top of this and then just peel this off and then paint the trees. I'm going to have to be careful where that branch is, though, because if you look really close, right, didn't get the masking fluid there. Oh, sloppy, sloppy. All right, so it's time to dive in and do it. Some yellow going. Number of changes happening this week. This is the first step in the sort of the changing of approach for the live streams. First of all, I'm still going to do 2 a week, but I'm changing how they're going to be done. So the first one of the week that's going to change days too. It's not going to be on Mondays anymore, and it's going to be later in the afternoon. So we're going to do Tuesdays at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Eastern Daylight Time? Is that what it is right now? Eastern Time. That would be 12:30 Central, 10:30 a.m. Pacific. And I'm planning on exploring a series of cute, brave fan arts for those streams. Be playing around with a bunch of different. So, as a matter of fact, this is something where if you're watching and you're enjoying this, if you have any requests for cute, brave characters from fiction for me to do watercolor paintings of, I'd be glad to talk about it and try it. And then the Thursday stream is going to be the same time, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Pacific. But that's going to be only on my Patreon because I'm going to start sharing some behind the scenes stuff on my next project. So that can't be for public consumption, but I can share it on my Patreon. That starts next week. I'll announce that a couple times throughout the stream for people who are getting here a little bit after I started. Okay, let's try to get some greens in there now. My light green. I actually have, pardon me, reference image pulled up of this Ewok, Tebow. Why am I being so cautious about getting to the edges? I can get to the edges. I got masking fluid on here. It's okay. That's why I put the masking fluid on. A little bit of darker green in there. More yellow. I haven't done a lot with masking fluid before. Actually, literally, I've used it twice in my life. Once in the watercolor class I took a few years ago, and once when I was in high school. A little bit of brown in there. And then I think I'm going to leave it alone for a minute while it dries and work on some other parts. So you can see when I get a little closer, blue parts, paint can't get through, I hope. Although it looks like I didn't do a very good job of putting the masking fluid in the middle of the trunk of that tree. But we'll see. We'll see when I peel it off. Now with the Stormtroopers, I'm going to leave the masking fluid on the thigh and knee on these fellas because I want to do like a rim light on them anyway. So I'm going to work on the colors in the rest of them. So for that, oh, so I got some green in this brush. I really ought to, for these streams, start bringing a little cup of water, even though like I don't need it to clean the brush off. It probably would speed things up a little bit. Okay, so what was I going to do? So do like a really light grayish brown. They want to look like they've had some trouble in the woods. So why am I changing gears to do like the cute fan arts? Because I'm going to be working pretty hard on a personal creative project. It's actually it's a professional creative project and personal. I can't, like I said, I can't share everything that I'm doing with it publicly while I'm working on it. That's the nature of the beast when it comes to doing like work that's getting published. So I want to keep doing public streams. And also, I really enjoy. I mean, like, my whole thing is cute characters being brave, right? So it's like, well, I can use this as an opportunity to play around with drawing other people's characters while I continue to level up and hone my watercoloring skills. And I plan on doing a lot of the same kind of thing where I do some experimentation in Clip Studio Paint, some on paper, but continuing on with sort of like my theme of cute characters being brave and get to draw some of my favorite characters. And then also this way I can open it up to requests too, because I'd like it to be something where it's more than you just showing up in the chat, but something you can actually play along with. So like, are there any characters that you think are especially cute and brave and awesome that I might not have considered? That's looking pretty stained up. Yeah, see that? Kind of hard to see. The camera's kind of washing out the color a little bit, but okay. Some of that ground now. So what I'm doing right now is I'm actually mixing three colors. I'm mixing brown, green, and black. And I think this is something I need to get a little bit more comfortable with and proficient in when I'm doing the Clip Studio Paint colors, because the palette I use right here, it only took a second, is only two colors mixed, right? So there's violet, and then there it is mixed with all of the other colors in the palette, one of each, right? But I just mixed three, so I gotta get accustomed to doing that when I'm doing my clip. Ooh, that's way too much. Let's spread that around. I gotta get accustomed to doing that in Clip Studio Paint. And I don't know how I'm gonna do it yet. That's more experimentation that needs to happen. A little more green in there. There we go. I don't know how that comes across to y'all, but yeah, I do consider most of my work like ongoing experiments. There we go. That's what I was looking for. I think the language of talking about it as experimenting keeps me in touch with this idea that the development is never done. And you should be constantly in dialogue with the work you're doing. At least that's how I feel about it. How long have I been going? 12 minutes. I might make short work out of this. I say I shouldn't because I'm going to hit some kind of hiccup halfway through. I'm going to wait on that. Okay, let's clean this brush out. And use my smaller brush for a minute. There you go. Okay. How are Stormtroopers doing? Are you dry yet? You're just about dry. Now I'm going to do something that's potentially dangerous. Potentially dangerous. What are you talking about? Well, I'm going to mix some brown with some purple over here, because I want to put some dark shadow on those Stormtroopers. Really push them in front of us like that. I know I've talked about this before in other places, but that technique in old comics where when they're doing all their color with, they're cutting it. They're cutting it with this stuff called ruby lith, which was like this red, semi-opaque material on a transparency. I actually did some ruby lith cutting very early on in my career. It's like this is when I was first starting. I was working at a newspaper. And so with the 4-color process back then, you had to take a lot of shortcuts with, like, you couldn't do this kind of like rendering, and not, at least not easily. And so if they wanted to knock characters out into the foreground, or really push them into the foreground, they would just like color them completely just a flat purple. And I love it because it looks so abstracted. It's so unreal that it takes on a different kind of realism, if that makes any sense. And I knew when I did this drawing, the moment I finished, I was like, I'm going to do that technique, but with watercolor. And see how it works. I think that's another reason I like the word experimentation when I'm doing this kind of stuff, because it keeps me working on this idea of like I'm constantly developing hypotheses. Maybe I'll put a little bit of indigo in there. Yeah, I think that's good. Some of that down, a little too dark. I think this is going to work when I get all the rest of the browns and greens in here. I'm going to let that dry now. Grab some of the smaller stuff. All right, what's it going to be, Jersey? Are you going to do that Ewok or what? I think I'm going to try to do the background wash now one more time. Get some darker greens in there. And then I'm going to peel off the masking fluid. A little nervous doing this. I haven't done this, like I said, in a long time. Up, up, up. Okay. So, okay, yeah, dark greens. Get a dark green going. Oh, wrong brush. My big brush. little more yellow in some of those higher ones. Now, a little bit darker. Whoa, that's a little too much dark. Added just like the tiniest bit of indigo in there. Man, does that go a long way. All right. Let dry for a minute while I do some of Tebow's details. Yeah, this might take the whole hour. Now that I'm looking at it. I was thinking like, oh, well, Tebow's just like basically gray and white. So how hard is he going to be to paint? Doing little detaily bits. I am not sure about those leaves in the background. I think I need to add a few more like little tiny there. I think that's what I need. Just to give a little bit more of an impression of shape back there. I mean, it is out of focus, or at least that's what I was trying to give the impression of, but I think it's too focused with blobs. I need to... It's always fun to try to work the verbal part of your brain while you're doing nonverbal things. It's actually kind of helpful to have like my preview screen up in OBS so I can like see how this is, like doing like a squint test at it. That's a little bit better, I think. I think. All right, Tebow, let's get some more of your... What color are Tebow's little fingers and toes? Oh, I guess that's like a light tan, huh? Okay. That is way too orange. Away you go. Yet, his little nose and lips are more of like a reddish purple. Or like over here. And that's even darker than that. All right, let's do a spear thingy. Oh, the spear has masking fluid on it, so that would be counterproductive. Well, what's this background doing? Feels like it's just about dry. Shall we try to pull off the masking fluid and see what we can do now with the rest of it? See how this goes. This might not be the most terribly interesting part of the video to watch, actually, but just it just like peels off. And I used a very, very light coat because in the past, the last couple, like I said, I've only done this twice before, but the other times I did it, I put on so much that when I was peeling it off, I pulled off some of the ink, and it was very sad. Hey, it seemed to have worked. Get this gummy schmutz you gotta throw away afterwards. I think I did it right. Okay. That gummy schmutz off of there. Any more? Any place? Yep. Got some on Tebow's shoulder here and in the grass behind him. Feel any else? Okay. Well, that was fun. Oh, still got some stuck on there. Looks like that light coating was sufficient to protect it from the yellow that I painted down, so. Cool. How are we doing on time? 31 minutes. Making good time. Now I'm going to come in with some Another batch of yellow. A lot of yellow in there. I don't know how well you can see what I'm doing, but I'm just putting like a little bit of a yellow rim light on the T-bow here. I'm going to do the same on the Stormtroopers. What I'm going to do. I might try to differentiate just a little bit by adding a tiny bit of green to it. Bright. Let's test it first. Oh, that's a little too dark. Also, let's get our brush nice and wet. That's good. I think I got some more masking fluid there I got to remove. Okay. Go back to my small brush and let's get the color of T-bow's hood thingy. A little bit darker than that. Now I'm going to try to hurry while this is still wet. Get some other colors mixed in. On that tooth that I didn't want there. Can I get it off? Almost there. That is a gray feather. Evo, do you have any colorful feathers on you, or are they all brown? They're all brown and black. Okay. I don't want to deviate too much from the character's design. I'm going to mix up a little bit more purple and brown. And maybe the tiniest bit of indigo. A little bit more shading underneath there. Starting to come together okay. Yeah. All right. Fur time. You know, I did the stripes on Tebow's arms wrong. I didn't realize that they were horizontal on his arms. I had him run down his arms. And I already inked it. So I'm going to have to live with my choices today, everybody. Look at your reference material more carefully, Jersey. My buddy Zach Giolongo is going to have my head on a pike. No, he won't. He cares about me. He's not that kind of fan. Although he did illustrate a book about Ewoks. A legit published work, Ewok Shadows of Endor. All I'm trying to say is I defer to his knowledge and understanding. Want to? I'm tempted to. Okay, let's go over here. A little bit more black. Get nice and wet. Nice bit of purple. Do this. That's good. I'm obviously not making him all black or all gray. He's like gray and black stripes. So I'm going to start with a wash of gray and then go in and darken up some of those stripes. And hope nobody calls me out on the fact that I did the arms wrong. Obviously, I called myself out on that. Okay, purple time. I gotta do his face yet. do the stripes now. Or is it too wet still? Maybe I should do the grass behind him while I wait for him to dry. What color do I want that to be? Well, I'm thinking a combination of greenish brownish. Something like that. Okay, I think T-bow's dried enough now that I can try to do those stripes. See how that goes. Flip my palette over. My oh goodness gracious, golly gee, get in there. That's my black wash. It should be gray or black rather. I'm gonna say start there. And again, while it's wet, I'm gonna try to work in a little bit of purple to get into that shading. Uh-oh. Got it on his thumb. Fix that. There we go. Okay, almost there. Maybe you could put a little bit more. Nope. Nope, we can't. Let's try to shade just a little tiny bit more underneath, get some darker grays in there. There we go. A bit of volume in there. Now for his face. Let's see if I can get his... What is going on with that face pattern? Okay, okay. I see it. Way too dark. Hey, thanks, Chris. Good to see you. I'm certain I've told the story in my various podcasts about the time I was doing a 8th grade school visit for one of my books, and a student asked me, like, what's my favorite thing to draw? And I said, well, it's cute things being brave. And when they asked for clarification, what does that mean? Like, well, the Ewoks in Star Wars. And I started talking about, like, that scene where, like, the blast happens and the 2 Ewoks fall down and one gets up and tries to wake up his friend. I said, like, and I started, like, getting choked up even talking about that scene. I don't consider myself a huge Star Wars fan. I love Star Wars like everybody does, but, like, I'm not, like, an aficionado. I don't know, like, all the history of all the characters and everything. But in that moment, I got choked up, and these poor little 8th grade boys are just, like, all squirming, like, ugh, grown man expressing feelings. Not sure how to feel about this. Okay, let's try to do those trees. Yeah, it's a tough scene to watch, man. It's a super tough scene to watch. Like, you're watching the price that they're paying for siding with the rebellion. It's not free. I'm just, in retrospect, I'm just hopeful that that moment gave those boys permission to emote every once in a while. But my guess is that they went, that guy's weird. Almost done. How much time we got? Oh my gosh, I got 8 minutes. I I am really digging this constraint of trying to do one of these paintings in under an hour. I really, really enjoy it. The thrill of looking at the clock and realizing how much time is left and knowing that I got to hustle. I know it's not for everybody though. Yeah, well, actually, Chris, my stream is changing. This is the last Monday morning one I'm doing. Starting next week, I'm doing it at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Central, and that'd be 10:30 a.m. Pacific. I set up this schedule back when I was teaching Tuesdays and Fridays. So now I've got a little bit more flexibility in my schedule, so I can actually do what are my afternoons now. And hopefully that'll make it easier for people to show up. Okay, is this dry enough? Dry enough. Okay, let's get some browns in there. I'm going to mix brown and green again. Actually, what I'm going to do, I only have like 8 minutes. 6 minutes. 6 minutes. A big brush out, try to mix up as much as I can. A whole bunch mixed in there. Get my green. A little less green than brown. A little bit of yellow. Clean this brush off. Wet this down a little bit in anticipation of what I'm about to do. Okay. Small brush, I choose you. Oh, the new Masters of the Universe. Depends on which one you're talking about. There's the Kevin Smith one, which is a continuation of the Filmation series, and then there's like a brand new one, which apparently is aimed at children. And between you and me, I'm more excited about the latter. My bias is always toward making Masters of the Universe accessible to young people, because partially because I think that the premise itself is so profoundly silly, although, obviously I get a lot of value out of it, but it's such a silly premise that like the idea of making it serious falls flat for me. But, I understand it's not mine. People can interpret it any way they want. So I'm not super excited. I'm not, let me say this. I'm not anticipating the Kevin Smith one all that much. But that other one where they have like a really different design for him and Battle Cat, I'm intrigued. I'll give it a chance because you know what? I've been proven wrong like in a big way before. Like Transformers Animated in 2008, I was super not into those designs at first. I mean, I liked Derek Wyatt's work on Teen Titans, but I was just like, I don't know if I like that on my Transformers. And then I watched it, and it's like one of the best iterations of the series of all time. Like I love it, love it, love it, love it. It's so good. So I wouldn't deprive myself of a really cool iteration of He-Man for young people, even if it looks way different. My thing is, I just want it to be for kids. That's like my top thing. Everything else is secondary to that. I don't care how much they alter and adjust it. I think another reason I get more excited about an idea of a He-Man show for kids is that I feel like the way they handle violence will be a little bit more. This is gonna sound strange, but I feel like children's media has a more sophisticated approach to how violence works in adventure fiction. How can that be? What does that mean, Jersey? Well, what I mean is they understand that they have a responsibility to not glorify it or glamorize it because they're working with young people. Whereas I feel like stuff that is for adults, they have a little bit more license to cross that line into what I would consider to be the glamorization of violence. Now, some would argue, well, no, I'm showing how awful violence is. And I'm like, okay, well, that's an argument. And I believe that you're operating in good faith when you say that. But it's dicey. You're working on promo for the Kevin Smith one? Huh. That's cool. I think I told the story. I was in the room at PowerCon when Kevin Smith announced he was working on it, and they went to great lengths to reassure the fans that we're going to keep the heart of the original in this. They brought in a bunch of people from the production who were all like, "Oh, I love this series. I love this. I grew up with it. I really want to do right by it," and so on. And perhaps they do. They at least said those things. I will be genuinely surprised and very happy if they keep the heart of it. And if it keeps on celebrating the bananas aspect of it, right? It's like you have a guy in furry underpants called He-Man. That's another thing that I appreciate about the show, about the property. Like I said, I have learned my lesson enough times that I'm not going to deprive myself of a really cool iteration of the series just because it looks a little bit different. The same thing happened with the 2002 series. I watched the first episode and was like, there's a lot of flipping going on here, and I just punched out of it. And I went back and watched it. I was like, oh, actually, there's a lot of really good stuff in the show. Why didn't I pay attention to it when it was on the air? Almost done with these trees. How am I doing on time? Oh, I'm at 1 hour exactly. That's cool that you get to work on the promo stuff, Chris. I was wondering what you were up to because you always were an excellent artist. Okay, I'm going to try to touch up a few of these little bits here, and then I got to call it good because I have to finish on time or thereabouts. I think that's it. I think I did it. So let's get a close-up. I can even switch to my main cam and say, there is how it turned out. Oh, if they lean into He-Man's earnestness in the new show, that is right up my alley. Yeah, I mean, my fear is that it's going to be like, oh, we always wanted to see He-Man punch somebody in the jaw, and so let's show him like mercilessly do that. I'm like, "Ugh, I'm not as interested in seeing that, but I understand why other people would. But thank you for sharing that, Chris. That actually gets me kind of a little bit more excited about it. So there's the painting for the top of the week. Tebow the Ewok staring down some stormtroopers. Like I said, I'll be back next week at Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Central, 10:30 a.m. Pacific. And my Thursday streams are now going to be Patreon only because I'm going to be sharing some behind the scenes stuff of stuff I can't share publicly. So you can always join me there at patreon.com/Jersey. As a matter of fact, I've got the information about me right here above my head. You can see where to find me. Everything I do is at rss.jdros.com. And, you can find more about me at jdros.com. But thanks for hanging out with me. I'll be back next week, Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Until then, I have been Jersey Drozd, jdros.com, Jersey Drozd on Instagram. Okay, bye.